Welcome to Rooted in the Seasons, where we explore how ancient wisdom meets modern life with a strong cup of tea and a dose of practical tools for real busy women. I'm Katja Patel, Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle consultant, yoga teacher, teacher mentor, and someone who helps you find calm and clarity through small daily rituals, seasonal rhythm, and timeless wisdom. Today's episode is for you if you've ever thought, I just need a minute to breathe. Or, why do I feel tense, even when I'm finally sitting down? We are talking about your breath, not just as a survival tool, but as your superpower. Whether you're dealing with stress, feeling foggy, or just running on empty, this simple daily practice can help you feel more grounded, more focused, and more you. Now, before we skip ahead, thinking I already know how to breathe, let me say this. The breath is more than just oxygen. In Ayurveda and yoga, it's the carrier of prana, your life force. It connects your body to your mind and your mind to the present moment. And in a world that constantly pulls us into 1,000 directions, that's a gift worth remembering. Why does your breath matter though? Of course, if we don't breathe, we die, right? So we don't need to dive into this. But why does it matter so much? You've probably said or heard things like, she or he took my breath away. Or someone saying, just breathe. Or even, I can't breathe while being outside in fresh air. There's a reason the breath shows up in our language like this. It reflects how we feel. It anchors us or tells us we're free floating. And as I've said, it keeps us alive. It also gives us our voice. When we're anxious, it shows up in our tone. It gets shaky, rushed, or tight. And when we're calm, our voice is calm too. Breath doesn't just carry life, it carries expression as well. But in yoga, the breath is much more. It's our first teacher. The very first thing you do when entering this world is breathing. And the very last before you leave is your last breath. And in Ayurveda and yoga, breath is, like I mentioned earlier, more than just air. The breath brings prana, the vital life force. Where there is prana, there is health. Where prana is depleted, illness and imbalance can take root. When we breathe fully and regularly, we invite fresh prana into the system with each breath. We circulate energy, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. It lifts us. It clears the fog. It connects us with who we are. So yes, breath keeps us alive, but more than that, it helps us feel truly alive. This was already known over 2,000 years ago by the sages and yogis of old. For example, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra say, calm is retained by the controlled exhalation or retention of the breath. And the Hatha Yoga Pratipika, the breath is central to preparing the body and the mind. First, with cleansing practices like Kapalabhati and Nadi Shodhan, and later with deeper pranayama. The breath is both a cleansing tool and a gateway to focus, to clarity, and even higher consciousness. Although you might already know this, let's take a moment to look at the breath and its connection to the nervous system, because in the world we live today, this matters more than ever. The breath becomes our number one stress-busting tool. Whether you're juggling deadlines, parenting, making dinner, or just trying to hold it all together. When you feel overwhelmed, your body often responds with a shallow, fast breathing. This is your stress response to action. Your nervous system's kicking into fight and flight mode. And the interesting thing is your nervous system doesn't really distinguish between a life or death moment or a looming deadline. The reaction is the same. But here's the powerful part. You can interrupt that. Even if in the middle of a deadline or hectic day, you can take a few full, slow, conscious breaths. You just begin to shift your body into the relaxation response. Your heart rate slows, your digestion switches back on, your mind begins to clear. And it doesn't take much. Even a few minutes of breath awareness can shift your entire internal landscape. So where to start? Here are the good news. You don't need 30 minutes a day or a fancy setup. You can begin in your bed just before you go to sleep. And here's how. You lie on your back with your knees bent. You can take your feet wide and your knees together. Place your hands on your lower belly. As you inhale, feel your belly gently rise. And as you exhale, feel it fall back towards the spine. This is the beginning of what's known as the 3-part breath or full yogic breathing. And you don't need to master it right away. Just begin. The 3-part breath, as it said in the name, has 3 breathing spaces to it. When we fully breathe, we move the breath through these 3 spaces. They are the lower belly, the mid-ribs, and the upper chest, collarbone area. A full yogic breath fills these 3 spaces in a gentle wave-like motion. It's not only soothes the nervous system, it also strengthens the respiratory muscles, supports digestion, sharpens the focus, and helps you make better decisions. And yes, it also makes your yoga practice feel more grounded and focused. But this is not just for the mat. You can breathe this way while commuting, walking, working, or in the middle of a difficult conversation. It's portable, it's free, and it's yours. So let's take a few breaths together. And if you're in a place where it's safe to do so, you can close your eyes. You can place one hand on your belly and the other one on your chest. Or if not, then sit where you are. Lower your gaze. You can keep your hands even on your knees or on the desk. And tune into your breath. So first feel the rhythm of the breath. Which space you feel? Is your tummy moving as the breath comes in? Your ribs are surely moving. And then you can feel where. Is it in the midrib area? Are they expanding outwards? Is it more at the top, the collarbone, upper chest area? Then, with your next in-breath, direct the breath a little deeper down to your navel. With the in-breath, the navel moves away from the spine. And with the out-breath, it sinks back towards the spine. Even if the breath doesn't physically reach the navel or you can't feel the movement, send the breath there with your thoughts. Take another 2 breaths down to your navel, gentle, without strain. Let the breath flow down to navel. And with the out-breath, feel the navel sinking back towards the spine. One more breath down to the navel. Feel the navel moving out towards, if your hands are there, towards your hands. And with the out-breath, sinking back towards the spine. Let's try the rib cage, the midribs. That's usually the breathing space that we use the most. So as you breathe in, visualize the air moving in through the nose, down the windpipe, into the ribs and expanding them out to the side. And with the out breath, your rib cage moves back towards the center. Inhale. Again, into the rib cage, expanding outwards. Think of the ribs fanning out. The space in between gets bigger. And with the out breath, the ribs closing in towards each other, and the rib cage comes back towards the center. One more time. Inhale. Down to the ribs, expanding outwards, ribs fanning out. And with the out breath, releasing back to their natural state. Come back to the natural flow of your breath. Notice how you feel now. These were a few conscious breaths, and they can be enough to change your state. And maybe you feel that now. You feel different in a non-specific way. This is how you can bring that shift from the stress response to the relaxation response, to a good night's sleep, to better decisions, to showing up differently for yourself, for your family, your friends, your colleagues. And it doesn't need to take long, but it needs to be kept practicing. You need to keep breathing. You need to keep practicing it. And over time, you build a new rhythm that serves you better. Because the more you practice, the faster the body slots into the relaxation response, slots into calming down. It becomes more like the new normal state to be in. Before we wrap up, Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a short poem that speaks to the breath in another way, as a messenger of love and compassion. Send Love, It Matters, by Carrie Newcomer. Somewhere, someone needs help. Send love, it matters. If you can't get there yourself, then take a deep breath. Breathe in the weight of their troubles. Breathe out and send all those burdens into the light, where sorrows can be held with more tender and infinite grace. Breathe in what you can do. Breathe out what you can't change. Spool out a thread of connection. Send courage and calm, for the nights can be long and filled with shadows, and sometimes terrible, unexpected waters will rise. Somewhere, someone needs help. Send love. It matters. If this episode resonated with you, I'll invite you to download my free guide, 5 Ayurvedic Shifts to Feel Less Overwhelmed in a Week. It's full of gentle, practical tools like this one to help you feel calmer, more grounded, and more like yourself again. You'll find the link in the show notes or in the blog post. Thank you for being here. Until next time, stay rooted and keep breathing.